Okay, para naman doon sa 1b, kukunin naman natin yung difference of the two functions f of x and g of x. So since we are referring to x term, o in terms of x, yung ating pong two functions, ang kukunin natin, f minus g of x. Okay? And that will be the difference of f of x and g of x. So, ganun din, para lang tayo nagsusubtract ng algebraic expressions, we have f of x is x squared minus 5x, g of x is minus quantity of x minus 2, then we have x squared minus 5x, removing the parentheses, baguhin lahat na nasa loob, yung sign, minus x. Sorry, I forgot x here. 5x minus x, negative 2 will become positive 2. So we have x squared minus 6x plus 2. So that is the answer to f minus g of x. Okay? And for the domain, ang domain natin, domain nito all reals, ang domain nito all reals din. Therefore, ang domain ng difference of these two functions is also on reals, all reals kasi yung kanilang intersection. All elements on f of x is the same as the elements nung x natin sa function g of x. Therefore, the domain of f minus g, sulat ko mabuti. The domain of the resulting function is x such that x is an element of real number. Or you can write interval notation, negative infinity to positive infinity. Okay? So that is the answer for number 1, letter B. So this is example 1c, in that this is the product of the two functions f of x and g of x. So the notation, it is denoted as f dot g or f times g. But since we're referring to the functions in terms of x, kukunin natin f times g of x. Okay? So how to determine the product of these functions? So, ganun din lang, para lang tayo nagmumultiply ng algebraic expressions. So we have, So that is f times f of x times g of x. Yun. Okay? And the next is, we substitute the values of the functions. F of x is x squared minus 5x times g of x is x minus 2. And then, product of two binomials, we have x cubed sa isa minus 2x squared minus 5x squared plus 10x. Then we combine like terms. X cubed minus 7x squared plus 10x. So that will be the answer dun sa ating number 1C. Okay? Again, for the domain of the resulting functions, the intersection lamang ng kanilang domains ng f of x at saka g of x, yun lang ang ating magiging domain of the resulting function. Domain of f times g is equal to the domain of f intersection domain of g. Okay? And ang intersection nila, ito'y all reals ang domain, ito'y all reals ang domain, so ang intersection nila, all reals din. So our answer for the domain of the product is negative infinity, comma, positive infinity in interval notation, or in set builder notation, that is x such that x is an element of real number. So we have example 1D, and the letter D is division of functions. So we have f slash g as our notation in dividing two functions. Since we're referring again to functions in terms of x, so f slash g of x ang gagamitin natin. So that is f of x divided by g of x. Okay? Remember, in dividing functions, g of x should not be equal to 0. Okay? So that will be the restriction in finding the domain of the resulting functions kapag ang operation yung ginamit ay division. The denominator should not be equal to 0. Okay? So, we substitute. We have f of x is x squared minus 5x all over g of x is x minus 2. Okay? So, that is already our answer. Because if you're going to factor out x on top, wala namang makakancel sa baba. So, that is now our final answer for example 1D. That is an example of division of. So, that will be our final answer for the division of functions. That is f of x divided by g of x. In finding the domain of the resulting function, there is a restriction. The denominator should not be equal to 0. But still, the domain of this function or resulting function is all reals. Okay? So therefore, the domain is of f divided by g is x such that x is an element of real number, but the denominator should not be equal to 0. And to compute or to determine for value or values of x that will make this denominator equal to 0, we just simply solve for x and equating the denominator to 0. So that is x equals 2. So therefore, the restriction is x should not be equal to 2. Okay? Nang hindi niya pwede maging value. Kasi if that happens, magiging 0 yung ating g of x. Okay? Or, in interval notation, paano natin isusulat yon? Let's say this is a real number. A real number line. This is 0, this is 2. So, yun 2 lang ang hindi niya pwede maging value. Okay? So, may hole doon. Yun yung butas. Yun ang hindi niya pwede maging value. But the rest of the numbers pwede, except 2. Okay? So, dito, from 2 to positive infinity, excluding 2, and from 2, excluding 2, to negative infinity, yun ang pwede maging value or values ng ating x except 2. So, pag ilalagay natin to in interval notation, may dalawang parts, yung ating values of x here. Yung isa, negative infinity to 2, at yung isa, from 2 to positive infinity. Kaya gumamit ako dito ng parentheses kasi hindi kasama yung 2 sa values ng ating resulting function. So therefore, the union of these two will be the equivalent domain of this resulting function. And this is in interval notation. Okay? So ito yung interval notation, ito yung set builder notation natin. Okay, thank you.